Males who got sexually harassed. What's your story? I was at a party and, later in the evening, the hostess and her friend pulled me to the floor and tried to unzip my pants to measure my penis. One of them had a ruler. It was actually a struggle to break away from them. They thought it was funny. I did not. Edit. This was back in the late 80s. A different time. I never gave a thought of being sexually harassed or assaulted, but I did feel kind of humiliated and uncomfortable after. They were part of my circle of friends. I was pretty young and they were a bit older. It was a struggle to break away without hurting them. I was concerned about being seen as the aggressor. Both of their husbands were there, but I don't think they knew this went down. There were a lot of people around, but it was kind of dark in the house by this time. It's been over 30 years and I haven't seen them in a long time, but I still remember their names. I was at a bar that was my regular watering hole, and I was bent over the counter talking to the bartender. It was loud as fuck and we needed to hear each other. I have hair halfway down my back, and was bent over with my shoulders rounded and half hidden under my hair. Some fucknut decided to grope me, thinking I was a woman. He grabbed my ass and rammed his fingers into my taint, right where one would expect to find a vagina. He didn't. I was not amused, but he nearly shat himself when the woman he groped turned around and was a 6'3" very angry man. I let the bouncer know, and he kept an eye on him and ended up throwing him out later. I was like 5-6 years old and some relatives had visited us. With those relatives was one of my aunts that was like 40 years old. Long story short, she asked me if my dick has grown and I didn't say anything, so she put her hand in my pants and touched it. I don't remember my reaction then, but I remember everyone laughing for some reason. Edit. I wasn't expecting this to get so many comments because that's my first comment. Also, this isn't a big deal, at least for me, and I don't feel like a victim, but I know that's sexual harassment and my siblings freaked out when I told them. Also, she was a step-aunt, not an aunt. Sorry for my English. Tired and stranded at Denver airport as an 18-year-old trying to fly home from college. The airport was nearly completely empty and it was in the middle of the night. I was exhausted and fell asleep on a bench only to wake up to an airport janitor with his hand in my pants. I immediately sat up and pushed him away. He was smiling and saying something in an Eastern European accent. I left the area and went to the other side of the terminal, but I was so tired I fell asleep again and again, woke up to this same creep groping me. This was in the 1980s, before ubiquitous cameras, and there were no cops around. Not that I would have been able to tell. I was embarrassed and traumatized. I can still see his creepy smile and I was so angry and afraid. Had a girl in social study rub her chest in my face while I was sitting up against a wall and couldn't move away. I tried to push her off me, which of course made her laughing friends tell the teacher I groped her. I hate that girl, and no one's figured out why, even though there was a classroom full of people who saw it. Edit. I'm not saying no one figured out that she was assaulting me. Everyone just seemed to forget about it, as if this wasn't a big deal. Okay, haven't shared this story before. I had a friend who seemed cool. We went to a party. I went with my GF at the time and she came along. We were talking. Both got drunk. My girlfriend was over talking to a couple of her friends. This girl started touching me. I shrugged it off at the time and then she went in for a kiss. I backed away and she tried grabbing my private parts and shit. Eventually, I went outside and that girl told my GF that I was touching her and shit, and then my GF got pissed and confronted me about it. Long story short, we dated for a few more months. She believed in me. I cut ties with the other girl. When I was younger, a number of my male classmates started dry humping me for fun. I was a very small kid, so I really couldn't do anything to push them back. After every turn, each of them would stand up and show their bulging erections. I'm a straight guy, by the way, and that experience still haunts me to this day. A girl from my uni course got her significantly larger friend to come up to me in a club and physically force us together. I tried saying no and that I didn't want to numerous times, but she ended up kissing me and biting me. I managed to push her off and get out of there, but I really struggle to be around her now. No one else treats it very seriously either. A messed up kid in my school raped another guy and said that the guy he raped him. Poor kid got expelled for being a victim. This whole thing went down at a party and someone said so and so was having sex in the person's living room, so we went to say go get a room. We heard someone saying stop it and we rushed over to break it up. An investigation went down in the school district and the cops got involved. That's when the chief of our PD said at school to drop it because the victim's parents paid off the detective that was doing the investigation. The whole thing was wasted, and no charges were pressed. When I was in 6th grade, 2 kids trapped me in the bathroom and made me have oral sex with them. It's something that still messes with me to this day. I couldn't even do anything. They said they would kill me if I told anyone. Never got over that. I told my parents and my dad thinks I'm lying for some reason. He's one of those people who think men can't be raped. My sister had friends over for a pool party for her 16th birthday. I was 13 and doing my best to be the annoying brother. At one point they ganged up on me and took off my bathing suit while by the side of the pool and threw it in a tree. I jumped in the pool because I didn't want anybody to see my shortcomings. There was grabbing and trying to see it, which they all did since you need your arms to swim. I was groped and prodded. One good thing about growing up pre-smartphone I guess was there's no photographic evidence. Eventually my mom came out because I was yelling and it stopped, but it was a bad day. I got in trouble for bothering her and her friends on her birthday. The old lady cashiers at the grocery store used to kick the shopping baskets over to me and ask me to bend over and pick them up for them and stuff like that. Then they would say out of the office when I didn't make comments and other nonsense. It was odd. I was 16/17. They were 40s 50s. Work behind a bar. One woman in particular always inappropriate, which grew louder the more she came in and the more she drank. Weirdly it was in front of her husband and daughter, also drunk. She was 50 plus, daughter was 16-18. Escalated to physical grabbing, groping and at one point yanking my tie and pulling me toward her. Luckily the bar taps were too tall and the bar was too wide for her to get close enough to do anything. Also groped in a supermarket once. Didn't even see who did it. I don't think I'm even attractive. I used to work in a grocery store. One of the cashiers was openly into me. Whenever I had to go through her line, she would refuse to ring me up unless I'd agree to go on a date with her. Lots of customers and other staff laughing and egging her on. It's a weird type of powerlessness because of the switched genders and how everyone else was reacting. Confusingly humiliating. I was a manager at the time and had to have a conversation with her manager about what was happening. It stopped soon after. My half-sister attempted to rape me when I was 5 and she was 16. Told my parents about it and none of them gave a shit about it. I can literally not be in the same room as her. Whenever I see her, my brain instantly goes just run, but my legs refuse to move. Worked at a gas station. Customer asked if we had protein shakes. I said yes. He asked where. I walked him over there and he stuck his hand down my pants. It was on video and he got a $500 fine for sexual assault. A girl in my school just went around grabbing guys' junk and she never got into any trouble. I got in trouble for finally reaching my breaking point on the school bus. This girl had been flirting and touching my inner thigh and groping me for months. Finally, one day as she grabbed my thigh for the last time, I said, "Get your hands off of me, you fucking slut." The whole bus went quiet. The bus driver was mortified. I almost got suspended. Edit. She never touched me again. Girl in my school used to go around kicking guys in the balls, in front of people, for zero reason, including me, and I'm talking about the kind of kick that makes you crumple to the floor in pain for several minutes. Pretty sure she must be responsible for a fair amount of infertility cases. Fuck all was done about it despite multiple complaints. She earned the nickname the horse. A few years later I was sitting in the park drinking with friends at night, underage so couldn't get in a bar, and someone came up to my group. Can't remember why as I was pretty drunk. I had a 75 centiliter bottle of cheap Aldi vodka that I was sipping from. After a few minutes of chatting to this guy I find out he's the horse's cousin. I go, "Oh yeah, I know her. She used to kick people in the balls all the time. People called her the horse, the horse, because she kicks people the whore." Fucking no mate. The horse, at which point he put his hand on my bottle of vodka, which I was holding, and told me to give it to him. I politely refused. He then beat my face full pelt several times and only stopped when my friend who was a kickboxer came over and saw him off. I was too drunk to defend myself. He knew I didn't say whore too. I was really clear several times. He beat me so hard that I was bleeding from my eye, nose and mouth, and later I found out that he chipped my teeth too. Didn't get my vodka though. Had a death grip on that the whole time. My mum found me later bleeding all over the kitchen table, vodka still in hand, rambling about some asshole with a horse, not whore for a cousin. Then I lost my vodka. Fucking weird family. It was not terribly serious but was uncomfortable. When I was 19, my boss, a woman in her 40s, was going through a pretty nasty divorce which had its roots in the fact that her husband had been having an affair with a much younger woman. On several occasions when she and I were the only people left in the office at the end of the day, she mentioned that she'd love to fuck some young college guy because it would help her get over the trauma of her husband's cheating. It seemed pretty apparent that she was asking me if I wanted to go bang. It never seemed like a terribly serious issue though, because that was never coupled with any kind of comments about my job security. My interpretation was that she literally just wanted to have some hot sex with a young stud and I was the only young guy she knew. I always just kind of ignored the comments or made jokes about it and then got out of the office as quickly as I could. The more serious thing was that I once got passed out drunk at a party. There was a girl at the party who had a crush on me, but I was in no way interested in her. I woke up in the middle of the night to her giving me a hand job. Thank you for watching. Smash that like button like it's a thick booty. And don't forget to subscribe to okpjdark if you like nice things, like new videos every day. See you tomorrow.